What was your favorite band that broke up?
For me, I'd have to say my favorite metal band that broke up was Pantera. They're one of my favorite bands that hasn't made any comeback since then, obviously since passing of Dimebag. But yeah, I think definitely got to be one of my favorites. I'm not a huge fan of their earlier stuff, the stuff pre-Cowboys from Hell, like their sort of hair metal stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, all that stuff, all the way through, what is it, Reinventing the Steel, the last album they made. I loved all those albums, and they had so much influence on a lot of the heavy music you get nowadays. And yeah, no, especially Vulgar Display of Power. Some of the songs on there are just perfect. Not on that album, but 5 Minutes Alone, that song, one of my favorites all time.
Yeah.
That could be like played coming from like a modern heavy metal band. But yeah, no, that would have to be probably my favorite band that broke up. That comes to mind at the moment.
Pantera, yeah, that's a good choice. I hadn't even considered them. I still think Floods and Tens are compositionally the best songs. Some of the best songs I've ever heard.
Yeah, the solo in The Flood.
That man could speak through his music.
Yeah, he didn't need lyrics. His guitar.
I kind of feel. I think we talked about last time. I had mentioned Cliff Burton. I kind of feel similarly about him. It's like no vocals, just pure music, and you just feel it.
Exactly.
Feel what he's saying.
Yeah.
So that's a good choice. For me, and again, I know this is kind of a divisive group for a lot of people, but System was like my first favorite metal band, and their hiatus was probably most infamous because they had, as a group, they had a lot of misgivings about each other. Serge wanted to do his own thing and be very artistic and work with all these like philharmonics around the world to create this very kind of unique sound and give more back to the culture, which is what he was always about, whereas I think Darren was a lot more about the music. And even went on to form his own group, Scars on Broadway. But their hiatus was rough for me and a lot of other people because, nothing else really scratches that itch. Anyway, as I was saying, Serge wanted to go in one direction, Darren wanted to go in another direction with the music, and I believe him and Shabo, I think, split off to do their own thing, Scars on Broadway, which is cool. I actually checked out a lot of their music because, again, nobody else ever blended metal and like Armenian folk music. There's really nothing else like that out there. The closest things to it were I think more like ska groups, like Gogol Bordello was pretty similar to a lot of System stuff, but less metal.
Yeah, 100%.
So for me that was just rough because I was so addicted to them at that age, and they went on hiatus for a very long time.
Well, I know that Shavo and Darren, they wanted to put out more System music.
They still do.
But they just can't get Serge nailed down. The last album they put out, that was a task for them already. I believe Serge didn't even really want to do that album. They just had to sort of coerce him into it. And even to this day, I saw like an article a couple months ago just about how they're dying to make a new album, but he wants to do his own thing. He wants to change their sound.
I think I saw the one you were talking about, the one where they interviewed Shavo, because he's kind of the only person who's really been transparent about everything, him and John. And I mean, they're still very, Serge wants to do something very different and unique and kind of artsy-fartsy, which it's cool. I like Serge's solo stuff too, but it's not System. Yeah, it's not the sound, and it's not, the vibe. It's not why they're super, famous, because people want that specific sound. And I don't know if you saw this, but a while, maybe like 6 months ago now or something, Serge posted this big long thing on social media where he's like, I just want to be formal with you guys and tell the fans that it's just not going to happen officially, like we can't collaborate. It was like this whole long thing where he was like, it's not going to happen, even though we're halfway through the album.
No.
And then Shavo, the new article came out like recently, a month or two ago, where Shavo was like, oh no, we're still working on it. We're still trying to make it work.
Yeah, like they've basically, I think, written a lot of parts that they would probably use for a System album.
They even started recording some of them.
But Yeah, no, they just can't get Surge on board, and I think they'll probably play shows. I could see them doing like a show every like now and then, but
Yeah, they still perform.
I don't see it. I don't see new music coming from them, especially with them having an outlet like Scars on Broadway. But
You
yeah,
know, it's so funny too because Chavo said that he feels that this is their best content they've ever created.
Yeah.
He said the new music that we have already tracked it blows all of our previous stuff out of the water. Those were his words, the bassist,
Yeah.
Chavo Dejan. Don't quote me on that pronunciation.
yeah,
But so it's like, you know, that's just for me because there's nothing else really to scratch that itch, right?
Yeah.
Especially with him saying, "Well, this is our best shit. Not no one's ever gonna see
yeah,
it."
and that's probably why I listen to more of like the metal core and stuff like that. For me, because Pantera, a lot of their sound is what you sort of get in maybe like some of the more southern tinged metal
I
core
can see
outfits.
that more the hardcore, like the breakdowns and stuff like that.
And because they had that, not quite the like solo stuff that you
well.
get in Pantera. Obviously, you don't get that anywhere else.
Dimebag, yeah.
But yeah, that definitely influences why I listen to those bands. Because there's no other metal bands out there that, at least there's probably ones that try it, but they don't get it to the level that I'm looking for. So yeah, 100%. They're probably the band that broke up that I think could still be putting out
Yeah.
good music to this day.
Well,
Because there's other bands that broke up that.
Phil Anselmo.
Yeah, he's making some weird stuff. He's an interesting dude in his own. With his bands like what Down.
I think that's all I have to say is just Phil Anselmo.
Yeah, he's a interesting character, and that's putting it nicely.
It'd be interesting to see, yeah, if Vinny and Dimebag were still together, the iconic duo, what they would be doing nowadays.
Yeah, it's crazy that Vinny passed away now too.
Yeah. Well, Vinny did a lot of work with that time too.
Yeah, that band, hell yeah.
Yeah. He did a number of other things too.
Yeah.
And it was some pretty good stuff. It was no Pantera, but
Yeah, same
kind of
with
like
the-
how Scars was no System, you know.
Yeah, that Damage Plan album, it was pretty good, but it's not the same as Pantera was. It was the mixing of one type of talent and another, and coming together, they had that unique sound. I think that's why they probably didn't get along the greatest. That's why Phil fought with the brothers, just because they're so vastly different. He's a Southern boy, they're more Texas boys. And
Well, Dime and Phil were both very, very hard-headed dudes.
Oh,
you know, Dime was a nutso party dude. So was Phil, and when they were in the studio together, it was hard for them to agree on a lot of
I
stuff.
guess friction makes diamonds.
Yeah.
When everyone agrees, you don't get the best stuff. But when you got two talents butting heads, I think that's where you get some of
That
your
is
best.
funny that you say Pantera too, because it's kind of the same thing. What you're just saying about how like certain groups in the chorus scenes have a similar sound, but not the exact same thing
Oh,
you're
yeah.
looking for. It's the same way I feel about System, right? It's like nothing can replicate Darren Malakian, Shabo, John DeMayan, and
Yeah,
Surge all
altogether.
together, and it's how I feel about Vinnie Paul, Dimebag, Phil, all them.
Yeah.
You know, they had a very, very unique sound that's kind of never been replicated, and I'd be interested to see how the scene would be affected by it.
Yeah.
At least in American metal nowadays,
Yeah.
which has kind of blown up with artists like Lamb of God,
Yeah.
EDM, and shit being huge chart toppers.
Yeah.
You know,
It seems to be sort of like a lot of bands that do that. They have a short lifespan, but they're really influential. And they're
Yeah.
not metal, but Nirvana. I think they're the epitome.
well,
They're the epitome of that. I think 3 albums.
influential in a
And-
number of ways, definitely.
Yeah, 3 or 4. Yeah, three albums. And
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Bleach and Utero,
never mind.
Nevermind.
There's
Yeah.
technically Incesticide, but that's B-sides. But yeah.
Yeah, well, they did a lot of like demos and. I don't know if you've seen the Unplugged. They
Yeah,
did.
of course.
The Lead Belly cover.
Yeah.
Where'd You Sleep Last Night?
Yeah.
It's probably my all-time favorite performance by them.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, System of a Down, Pantera, great losses in the industry.
100%.